Okay, and we are recording as always. I believe this is episode 27, if I'm not mistaken, which means we can actually claim each other on our taxes now. We've been through a little bit, it's official. So, as always, I am Brian Kynes, the creator of the Tales of Ulran um, storyline, campaign setting, whatever have you. We use 5th edition D&D to play the game, and all these wonderful people surrounding me help create the storyline one game at a time, one Wednesday or Sunday at a time, if you will. Over here to this side, I got to do this reverse with a phantom finger, is going to be Heather. She'll be playing the role of Silouan, which is a Skylancer avian character. And quite the flirt, turns out. It's turned out to be pretty good. We're about to see how she crushes hearts. Down below her is, yes, Jeremy Keaton. He'll be playing Merc, that is importantly piloting Brahmas, the huge celestial construct. Beside him, you're going to see some hands get into the camera here in a minute. It's going to be Kara. There she is. That's it. Kara is making soup for everybody. So in about 10 minutes, have your bowls ready. And to my other side, last but certainly not least, is Sean. He'll be playing the role of Sade. Sade's got a big role and some really neat stuff coming up tonight. So this should be a good one. We've had a little bit of a hiatus. We've been off for a couple weeks because we have lives. That kind of shit happens. We have a lot of snow. At least some of us. Some of us live in Hawaii and don't have souls, so that's fine. But some of us have to deal with the elements. You guys got volcanoes. We got blizzards. So it's all good. Last time we all met, this wake was finally winding down. Everybody had got a chance to play and compete and fight and talk to people, and it's been a lot. But now it's time to move on to the good shit. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, Sean, you and Miyasha were outside in that beer garden area, and you were discussing things with her, trying to explain to her what came in the form of that letter that had been delivered to you. Now, Dahan, I believe, is the one that delivered that to you, correct? Okay. Now, Danny won't be able to play tonight because he is flying organs from state to state. That's a little bit more important than this. We'll give him a pass. So I'll be doing the role of Dahan tonight. Okay. Dahan has decided to kind of stick around to be added help if he can, as one that has been personally attacked by these shadow goblins, and he wants to be a part of whatever measures the group is making or taking to eliminate this shit from the city. Okay. I can't remember exactly if Oma was still here or if I think she was still around, wasn't she? Because she had got that cloak that helped her with ice resistance and shit, because some of the dwarves had made that for her and give it to her as a gift. And I don't think I can't remember if she left or not. I'm thinking possibly she did, because I know Dahan was coming in as an ambassador of her, like taking her place in the group. So for storyline's sake, we will say that she took that cloak with her and went back to the ship and is working with Medelia on better ways to infuse elements into the lodestars, which pilot the airships. Okay. I talked to Alex, and she wants to kind of work as a gatekeeper for the Soul Stone. So that's going to be her role moving forward. Jeremy, you were going to kind of take a break. You just got an awesome bare knuckles thing with someone tough enough to go with you. Kara or somebody, man, what was that awesome name you gave that Earth Genasi? Anyone remember?
It's like Torsten.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So I'll look it up.
I'll just call him Tor for now, Tor. Torsten, but it was good because it sounded like tungsten and it had a nice Norse kind of feel to it. It was really cool. he I don't think he was sticking around to talk to you to any denomination. I think he had went outside and was traveling back to his home whipped and having enough for one night. Ignatius was there, and I will say Ignatius was having conversations with Tamara um, as he was seeing this night slowly start to wind down. Okay. With that, I'll go ahead and start with you, Sade. We will deal with the outside, and then we will deal with what's going on the inside of the mission. Okay. So, if you could remind me, what exactly to this point have you told Miyasha about your plan? And you don't have to get into super detail, just kind of refresh my memory.
So Shade would have told Miyasha, or I would have told Miyasha, that things aren't making sense. I thought it was going one way and it's not. And so we need to have a conversation with Esliar, and I need her there because well, it's a twofold thing. One, she's as quick as I am, so if we need to react, we can. And two, it's to earn my trust. A chance for her for her to earn my trust. And I also wanted to talk about getting Ignatius there because I need his wisdom and insight into this.
Okay. So we can do that. You two, or one of you or somebody, I'd prefer it be you, so I have to role play talking to myself. It's going to have to go in and get Ignatius to go along with you. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember Miyasha explained to you that this was a chance for you also to prove your trust goes two ways, practically. So with that, it is still fairly cold outside, light snow blowing. We are saying this was about 10 10:30 at night at this point, and getting pretty late. The thing started like at 7 or so. You guys have been here for several hours. With that, you see that the Draken, Terran, with his eyes closed, just staring out still and humming the songs from inside, still has the door open, and you are just merely 20 foot from it as the light from it pours out into the snowy beer garden streets in front of you. Are you headed in to find Ignatius?
Yes.
Okay. As you head back in the place, over at the foot of the steps that went upstairs for the bare knuckle thing that Brahmas was getting in, you see Tamara and Ignatius having a conversation. Ignatius is being very animated, has his hands up in the air, and seems to be simulating something mystical, with Tamara with her arms crossed, sternly just kind of nodding her head, understanding what's just listening very carefully to what he has to say. They are on the other side of the bar. That's the very back corner, that stairway. Are you making your way to them?
I'm just going to make my way to Kara and Ignatius.
Okay. As you do, Kara, you would see Sade coming back in from the outside. Miyasha standing in the doorway, having a conversation with Taryn, does not come in and follow after you, but stays outside. But you can see her through the doorway, and you would see Sade locking eyes with you and coming towards you as if she has something to say. Kara, what is it you're doing?
I would say she respectfully gives Ignatius kind of like a nod that somebody else is coming. So kind of like a head nod towards a different direction. So we both notice Sade. And I'm assuming Sade looks like she has something on her mind, something to say. So Tamara goes, Sade, what's new? What's going on?
I'm going to need to speak with Ignatius about something I need his help with.
He looks.
By all means, he's all yours.
He looks at you for a minute, kind of puzzled, just super, not quite sure what makes him so important all of a sudden. I mean, he was just some humble older fella, and now everyone needs him for something. Embarrassed that he was talking for a little bit too long with you and talking too much like a child, he nods passively and says with a smile on his face, as he usually has a very light smile on his face, passively goes, I hope that we can finish our conversation later, Tamara. I'll look forward to your opinions on these matters in the future. And he just kind of
Tamara
smiles.
extends her hand and says, "Until next time, friend."
Okay. As that happens, he turns towards you and he corrects his eyes, almost like he's fixing glasses. He like rubs in the corners for stress and runs his fingers back through his hair, slicking and covering up one of just a few feathers that actually grows naturally out of his head and covering them back up with his silver and white hair as he looks at you and says, so what can I help you with?
So, darling, you know that saying, with age comes wisdom.
I've heard people misuse that phrase many times, yes.
I need your aid in something.
I'm
good at you at reading people.
He looks at you for a long moment as if he's kind of, because he is not a sarcastic man, but he looks to you for a long moment. He goes, if you mean will I help you, the answer is yes. I have no quarrels with you. You seem like a good yet hidden person. He kind of misunderstands your meaning.
Perfect. Great. I'm having a very important meeting tonight with someone, and I need you and Bianca to accompany me.
He says, will it be dangerous?
If everything goes right, it shouldn't be.
If everything goes right. And he kind of raises his eyebrows sarcastically at that. And he goes, well, I suppose if I keep on trying to be a part of something, it's bound to go right eventually. Might as well get to practicing while I have a chance. And he kind of smiles and he says, he looks around for Silouan because he's kind of just checking to make sure everything's okay before he goes in about this. He looks over in direction and sees her off in the distance. I'm having a conversation with this dwarf, doing her own thing. He hears her laugh from a distance. And he just kind of gives a sigh, almost like he's watching one of his own kids learn how to hang out with the other people, and he's not the cool one anymore. And he just kind of sighs and says, okay, we're doing this now?
Yes. We need to meet someone outside of the crow's nest.
He goes, I will help out however I can.
Thank you. And so I motion for Ignatius to meet Miasha at the door, and then I'm going to speak to Kara really quickly.
Okay. Ignatius looks around at you and starts heading out towards the door towards Miasha, which is outside having a conversation of Terran. You are now looking up at Tamara, which only stepped back a few feet before you went looking for her as well.
Okay. Tamara, darling, sweetie.
You're laying it on thick all of a sudden, yeah.
So, Miasha and Ignatius and I are going to have a little conversation near the crow's nest. It's best if it's just us three. And best case scenario, we all show up and we see us in the morning. Everything's great and we know exactly what we're doing. However, keep an ear out.
You notice Sade's long pause in that, as if there's some uncertainty as to exactly how this is going to go, and you pick up on that, Tamara.
Tamara stops Sade mid-sentence and says, I've got your 9, or I've got your 6 o'clock. Don't worry. So Tamara does not take offense to not being included because she senses Sade's uneasiness and unsureness. So she's going to step up and take the role of, I got your back. It's good.
Just know that before the truth comes to light, it has to be dark. So, if you hear me calling for you, please. It's only out of extreme necessity.
It's really hard to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it was hard to hear what he said there, but what Sade was saying is, if you do hear him yell out for you, it's only for extreme necessity. That's pretty much.
Tamara gives him a nod and waves Ignatius goodbye.
Okay. Ignatius gives you a kind of a trying to give you a kind of a nod and thing, looks uncomfortable, and has a forced smile on his face. As you can see, there is worry on the ancient avian's brow, but the smile and the childish-like notions that he has seems to be pushing him forward. Brahmas, where would you like to say that you are at inside this place? Pick a spot, sir. Pick a spot.
He found an empty spot on the wall and sat. Just
Okay.
toast.
Are you paying attention to what's going on inside of this place right now, or are you inside of Brahmas doing something?
I would gather Merc is keeping an eye out as the construct rests and does its repairs. I don't think he's too keen on the idea of letting his guard down in a busy place like this.
Okay. As you are kind of keeping an eye around on things and whatnot, Dahan makes his way up to you. Okay. And do I need to re-describe Dahan to you, or you pretty much know?
If you could remind me.
Okay. Dahan is one of Danny's characters. He looks like a large, mystical, like Samoan-like warrior with tattoos on his body. Dark complected, with hair slicked back on top that is brown and black. He literally looks like an ancient Samoan warrior, like a monk fighter hybrid. He has the large fur vest of the hide of a behemoth that he fought and took down. And when he fights, he takes on the soul and form of different animals, almost like a martial artist that mocks the animal in which he's trying to implement in his fighting style. Large, I think he's like, oh gosh, like 6'6", 6'7", big old guy. Yeah, that's him practically. He was also the one that's on the ship with Oma. Him and Oma are very, very close. He is the first mate on the Lai Lung. Okay, so he comes over to you, and he's inspecting your body. He's kind of looking you up and down for a moment. He goes, as I'm standing back and I'm watching you learn how to use this and make this an extension of you, I wonder if you felt the pain that I saw this body take. Are you all right in there?
I'll survive. I've had some pretty tough blows in my day.
I can see that. It's neat, the soul that you share with this device. It's something I can only imagine would be a chair for the gods, if you will. It's my people wouldn't know what to make of you. He just kind of chuckles.
You should try being on the inside. For a king of a throne, there's still a lot of things in here I haven't touched. A lot of dust.
Don't mean to interrupt you. If you need some more time, it seems like the group's getting restless and starting to make their way in different paths. I just wanted to know, which path were you going to take? He says, as I'm here to help as an ambassador of the Lai Lung and the cause of trying to rid the city of these pieces of night that need to find some day. And when he talks about things in a spiritual way. He has metaphors that make things that you and I would say technical things. He turns them into different kinds of ideas. Everything has he's almost like a real, what's the word I'm looking for? Superstitious kind of sees the soul in everything kind of person. You see Ignatius head out the door. Him and Miasha head a certain way. And just as soon as you start looking around the room, Brahmas, trying to decide what you're going to do, what's that song? Should I stay or should I go now? As that's starting to wander around your head, all of a sudden you hear a very familiar kind of sly and very confident voice come from down below your side, and it is the voice of Dorbach. Okay. You remember who that is, of course, correct? Okay. And Dorbach says, well, it seems like things are starting to wind down here quite a bit. I'd say we could have that meeting pretty soon. Think it'd be any trouble for you to round up those that are left in here that want to be a part of it, and maybe we go upstairs and have a talk? He bites his lip, looking at you for an answer.
At this point, Brahmas would, he kind of lean forward, sigh, and then he'd stand up, and you'd almost hear a groan of everything still kind of tight.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
get it.
He just nod, and I'll go find them.
Okay. He says, as you go up the stairs over on the far side, there's several rooms up there. We're going to be having this meeting in your buddy's abode, if you will, up there in Bastille's room. I'll have the door open. Just come on inside when you've got everybody. We've got some introductions to make upstairs. If you feel like you're followed, knock on the door. Don't just open it. You got this. He just kind of grins and he pats you, and he just kind of walks off into the crowd, grabs a beer off of a tray without anyone looking and starts drinking it. And you can see him damn near going to pickpocket another drunk ass person that's starting to riot, just like he's moving through the crowd, just ninja shit. He's a hell of a character. This is a very slick person, and he makes his way off in the distance. Okay. With that, you've got Silwan over there doing her thing. Tamara has let them go out the door, so Tamara's just standing there looking for a dance partner. That was so great when you did that shit, Kara. You pulled that off really well. That's a point of personal pride for me is when that went down. What would you like to do? You have inside there, you have Dayhonas beside you and heard that. And looks over to you and just says kind of thuggishly, it's like, sounds like I'll just stay with you then.
Tamara is scanning the crowd and she sees Silwan and her boy toy, who the boy toy is just googly eyes staring at Silwan.
It's true.
Silwan, on the other hand, is kind of, not paying much attention, kind of looking, and we lock eyes. And Silwan gives me that help look.
Okay, so let's let dice decide how well this happens. Okay. Silwan, are you trying to give Tamara the help look?
Yeah.
I want you to roll a performance check. And Tamara, I want you to roll an insight check.
Oops.
So your performance check, the higher it is, the better. That'll lower the DC for her. So go ahead and tell me how it goes. Cat whisper.
Sorry, I had to move the cat first.
Understand. Life throws you curveballs, man.
Her help look is just going to look like the Rock's eyebrow raise.
You're right, yeah.
That's going to be a 12.
A 12. Okay, so booze is kicked in a little bit. You are not performing up to par. Tamara, when you look across there and you're trying to sum up and see who's in here who might need you to step in and shit, you look at her and you can't read her. Like, just as soon as she looks disinterested, all of a sudden she's pulled back into the story and she's talking about it and she's like touching the spears on his back and giggling. And then 1 second later, she'll be looking around the room again and then she'll start talking to somebody else. The dwarf will awkwardly jump in and add himself to conversation. There's a clumsy dance of should I stay or should I go now, which is going to be the name of this episode.
Yeah. Well, Tamara rolls a 22 for insight.
You see things that Silhouette does not about the situation. She needs an out. She needs a buddy. So the way to play this, because of the roles are, Silhouette, you're going to kind of surprisingly go along with this as Tamara is giving you an option you didn't realize you had. Okay? So Tamara, I'm going to play Boy Toy. What is his true name again? It was
Brian.
Bryn.
Bryn. Okay, yes.
Okay, we're Brian.
Bryn, the warrior poet. Okay, God, I'm gonna get another drink of beer for this shit. Okay. All right, with that, Tamara, you see him, and as you start to walk over, all of a sudden he kind of looks at you and kind of, and the lip goes up into the mustache a little bit and kind of looks at you and gives you a nod. And he says to you, so he goes, it looks like your friend's coming over for a visit.
I would like to roll an intimidation check.
Like to give me the devil's eye, would you? I understand.
It's a 9. So 9 plus charisma 4,
No, your intimidation.
which is charisma.
Oh, you don't have it written down.
Sorry, 9, 10, 13,
17?
17. 17.
I called it before she did. I'm good at counting up your numbers. I can hear you whispering proficiency bonus plus this. I can hear it. All right. 16.
Just barely.
Got you.
He doesn't start sizing you up until he realizes that you're sizing him up. And he's a little late to the game. And by the time he musters up what he can, he's a very stoic, very proud man. He's a dwarven, ranger. But when you do get up to that point, you're looking at him. He sees your dominance, but doesn't know why. Okay, that's the vibe you're getting. He seems a little taken by this, but you can tell he's having a back seat because he knows that he doesn't want to interfere in Silhouette's relationships. He's not that important to her, so he's kind of backing away from you two. Are you saying anything?
Tamara looks at Silhouette, notices she does not have a drink in hand, and says, "Hi, I'm Tamara. I'm Silhouette's friend. We
Hi.
are both empty-handed. Would you mind getting us another round, please?"
Absolutely. What exactly are you thinking about having?
Whatever Silhouette's been having, let's just make a double.
More of that then. Are you feeling okay? I saw you wobble and weave just a little bit earlier. I just wanted to make sure you're okay. He gives you a nervous look, Tamara. He looks back over at Silhouette when looking for a response.
Silhouette's just sitting there. She has nothing to say.
He says, okay, well, sometimes when the force needs rain, a thunderstorm comes. I'll return with drinks.
Thank
He
you.
walks off.
Jinx.
Okay. He's going to be gone for
We shouldn't just ditch.
1 minute. That's it. 1d6 and you got 1 minute. So he found a way through there. He's a dwarf and he's a ranger, so he cast pass without trace on himself and made his way to the bar. So he's pulling some shit. You got limited clock, ladies. What's going on?
Okay, so Tamara sees how quickly he's getting these drinks.
Oh yeah,
So Tamara is going to turn back to Dahan and give him the "get over here now" look.
do you throw the spear at him and pull a scorpion? Get over here.
Basically, get over here.
Okay.
Yes.
That'll work. As you do, Dahan says to you, Promise, it's like, oh,
Wait, Daehan's the one he keeps trying to fight.
Right. So he's already intimidated by Daehan, and you and Daehan already have something going. So Tamara is trying to fake a new relationship.
Oh my god.
my character's in the shit. I see how it is. Karen. That's fine. Dahan, of course, would come over because that's who he is. And he knows you have a relationship with him. You guys have fought in battles before and shit. And as he sees that and he comes over, I'm going to roll here to see if I get the gist of the situation here. Silloin, you're sitting there like this, like,
This is my first ever like mortal drama. I'm like, what?
okay, the natural 18, Dahan gets what's happening here and gives you a look, Tamara, like, oh, you're shitting me.
Tamara
Of all
whispers in
nights.
his ear.
Of all
Tamara
nights.
whispers, I owe you one.
He grins at that, knowing that you're someone that normally he would say something very flirtatious at this point just because of that, but knowing who you are, he restrains from that. He knows you to be different than that.
We're here.
He
Sorry
says,
about that.
he says to you, I just got word over there that I believe there's a meeting upstairs that we need to join. Maybe now. I'll get between us. And he turns around and stands behind you, and you realize, Silloin, that with him at your back and with Tamara at your front, no one can see you in here. Okay? Is my internet connection stopped? Okay. So when we're recording, it's really funny because they can see me moving still, but they won't see you guys. So let me pause.
Character I'm on right now, it's
I'm
just
back.
about all homebrew, but it's a sorcerer barbarian. Welcome back.
Yep. I believe that was my internet connection. Like I say, I'm out here in the garage. I'm trying to decide. I've got a work phone here that has full bars, and I'm trying to use it as a mobile hotspot. Just a minute here, and I'll see if I can get it.
Kara got up and the cat has taken over her seat and she's very upset about it.
Right on, right on. So I've got an iPhone, and does anyone remember how to turn your phone into a mobile hotspot?
It depends on what service you have.
Okay, let me pause the recording real quick, and then we'll try to figure this shit out. Okay, we're back. So, using my personal hotspot, we have saved the day. Things are good, and we're back at it. So, the last thing that was said that you heard me say was what, guys?
Daehan came over. Daehan knows what's up, and then Daehan was saying something about there's a meeting that we need to get to, and then you cut off.
Yeah. So he was coming up to you guys, and he was saying, he says, follow our lead. Okay. And what he does, Silloin, is he goes around and he kind of widens his back. He's a very wide, big, muscled man, and he stands behind you and kind of makes like they're going to shepherd you up the stairs where no one can see you. You're going to disappear in between him and Tamara. That's the plan. That's what he's going for. So as he stands behind you, he kind of looks around to see if that dwarf is around. And as he does, he takes a step forward, and you kind of bump into his chest again, kind of like you did before. And he
So
says,
many times.
yeah. And he says to you, okay, this is where you start walking. And Tamara, he's going to be wanting to guide you upstairs to where this meeting is going to be taking place. Now, you're not quite sure where the meeting is. Brahmas, you see this going on. What are you doing?
I'm going to whisper to Tamara, letting her know where it's at, and then just kind of keeping an eye, doing my part to get Sylvan as far away from the situation as possible.
Okay. Scylla, do you have anything to say to these brutes as they're all taking you upstairs away from all the fun you've been having?
I guess I would just be like, well, he was nice, wasn't he?
Okay. With that, Dayhan just grunts. He doesn't really say much of anything. Just a long, just sigh. He goes, Oma's so much simpler. Right? As he's walking that direction, you get to the top of the steps and you get ready to go into the doorway, and you see a dwarven guy with a struck look of confusion on his face as he stands in the middle of the floor, and he has these two drinks, and he's just kind of looking around. And he starts asking a couple dwarves like this, they're like, I don't know. It's like,
I
who?
feel really bad.
And this goes on for several minutes. Feel how you want to, but that's what's going on down below there. Yeah. So, so with that, you guys are. I'll just say for expedience that Bromus, you've come up there and you are taking the forefront of the group. You know which door this is. It's been explained to you. What would you like to do? You want to lead them down the hallway to the doorway? Is there anything else you want me to add in here? You want to just go?
I'm going to look around, just keeping in mind on what he said about if I feel like I'm being followed to knock instead. So I'm going to just kind of keep my eye out as we're heading up that direction, keep an ear open.
Okay. As you go up the first flight of stairs, you know the room's not there. It's going to be up just a little bit further. And as you go up another and you start to walk down the long hallway, you, just as soon as your head level comes even with the floor and you begin to go up, you see seems like a female form, just briefly for a flash of an instant before she walks in to the room that you were going to head into at the other end of the hallway. Okay? Roll a perception check with disadvantage and tell me what you get.
It was 215, so 17.
Okay. What you see is a person that seems like they have her whole outfit seems to either be leather black or charcoal gray fabric. Okay. This is a feminine figure that moves with some bit of grace and is physically attractive. You pick up on it immediately. Okay. She seems to have the grayish smoke colored cloth covered up and draped around her nose, which reveals pale skin and distant rose colored eyes. Okay, but the one thing you notice the most about her is she seems to be like some kind of foreign assassin of some way. There's an equal amount of layers of clothing that seem to be roguish and deadly, with long trails of flowing cloth that come out from between her legs and around the back of her. The one thing you definitely notice as she has a long hood is one long strand of white silver hair coming out in two long horns that seem to have slots made in them that come out of the top of the hood. The horns come up out of the head this way, curve back and do a twist, almost like what a unicorn horn kind of would, and come out and are pointed about a foot back past her head. They seem to be a mixture of bronze metallic colors and pearl. You've never seen anything quite like this. If you had to, with a 17, you notice that color, you notice the look of her, and she catches a glimpse of you for just a minute as she walks in the room ahead of you guys. You're leading the group, which is the only reason why you saw it, because you're so wide, the others couldn't have seen over you. as you take that stride for just a minute, let's say the order was you, then it was Tamara, then it was Kara, and then it was my character Dayhon in back of that. Tamara, you see his hesitation at the top of the stairway for just a minute as he has caught a glimpse of something. What is it you're saying?
I guess Tamara kind of whispers, "Is everything okay?"
Would I get the sense that that female belonged here, or is that somebody who probably shouldn't be here?
She didn't knock. And she walked right in there. That would be your only really clue.
Somebody walked in the door ahead of us. That's not somebody I'm terribly familiar with.
Okay, that's what he says to you.
I guess Tamara kind of collectively tells the group, "Keep your eyes peeled," and she kind of tightens up on her flail, just kind of holds it while they're walking.
Okay, cool. Dayhon sees that silhouette. You have any reaction to this? I know you're kind of in this good mood and just thinking about him down there being by himself, but you see this intensify just a little bit. What is your reaction to this?
I feel like I have pretty good passive perception, so I would get that the vibe had changed.
Yeah.
So I think that I would also have my hand on my glaive.
Okay.
Just kind of like, being. Can I do a perception check of the hallway, like to see if there's anybody else around?
Yeah, absolutely. You can do that anytime you want to. Go ahead and roll one. And this is with just you're kind of clued in. What is exactly you're looking for?
Just like
anything.
Yeah, just anything not normal. So I got a 19
total.
Yeah, not great.
There doesn't seem to be anything. There is the only thing you would find odd is that on this floor, when we came up past the steps, this is a dwarven lake, and you saw a couple dwarven people going in and out of the rooms and staying. This floor, there doesn't seem to be anyone staying on this floor.
Okay.
It's quiet up here. And you know that this must be isolated and must be this way on purpose. Like someone rented out the floor or something of that nature to be able to do something like this. That's the only thing that strikes you as odd.
All right. Well, I mean, if there's nothing odd, should we just proceed? I ask everybody.
And everybody would say,
promise and nod, and just kind of continue down the hallway.
Do you want me to like just kind of open the door and then you can like come around real fast, like cop like,
Given the circumstances and the people involved, I feel like that might be a death sentence.
So we're not going in the door they told us to go into?
We might need to knock first.
What about that, Bob? They're thinking about knocking. What do you want to do?
That might not be a bad idea.
Well, shit, I would have just walked right in. So glad Brahmas is around.
Tamara's gonna slide to the back of the group to bring up the caboose.
I'm gonna be right behind Brahmas.
Okay, Brahmas, you are approaching the door. Tamara, you come back to Dayhon, and he looks at you as if you're wanting to take the rear. He sees that you're holding your flail tightly. He stops and turns halfway and looks down the hallway, looks at it, peers for a minute, looks over to you, and nods that it's clear. Nothing's going to come up from behind you guys. He's being silent about it, but that's what he's insinuating. Brahmas, what do you do at the door? Silouan's peeking over your shoulder, looking underneath your arm, seeing what's going on. Shit, you're at the door. This person just walked inside it, is dead silent inside.
I guess I want to take one more look around the hall just to be completely sure. And Brahmas, just being safe as Brahmas would be, is going to go ahead and knock.
Okay. And just for shits and giggles, how many knocks, how many times, what do you do? Do you do a funny? mean, what do you do exactly?
Dun, 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 dun.
Right. That's it.
Say if it was me, I'd just tap 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 all over the door until somebody answered. But no, I'm
Okay.
just going to give it 3 slow knocks.
3 slow knocks. As you do, you hear light footsteps. Walk over to the door. And the door opens up and Dorbach is standing there. Okay, as he stands there and he looks at you for a long time. Okay. You hear a voice in your head as if there is a spell being cast to let you in on something, and it tells you nod if you're in danger. And he just looks at you with a grin on your face, and he's just looking at you smiling. You remember your conversation with him earlier. You hear that inside there. Nod if you're in danger. What do you do?
Promise will just stare.
Okay. As you do that, Dorbach looks back a little bit, nods his head like that and stuff, and you see a form come back into view as this character that had walked in the door previously ahead of you is clinging to the ceiling right inside the doorway with 2 medium swords that are curved, hanging upside down as if she's using the spider climb spell, getting ready to cut in half whatever comes through the door. And as he has nodded and let her know that it's okay, she sleeks her way down the wall, walking as if gravity does not exist, spinning the blades in a very remarkable fashion and putting them back in, puts a leg up, crosses her arms, and just leans against the side of the room as if she's been called off. Okay, are you letting the group know it's safe to come in now, or what are you doing?
Did we see that? Mm-mm.
Did not. Brahmas took up the whole doorway as he began to step in. He just knocked. He didn't walk inside. He was able to see her climb down.
It,
right,
was
well,
the, it was
Selwyn-
the same one in the hallway, right?
Yep, same woman.
Selwyn did sigh sadly when she saw Dorbach.
Okay. Duly noted. Okay. Brahmas, you going on in?
Yeah.
Okay. As you walk in, you see it looks like this room is the length of at least 2 different rooms. This room is extraordinarily cozy, and it looks like it's been well lived in. There are 2 different oval-like tables that seem like they have had meetings at them pushed up against the wall. There are some kind of notes and papers put on the wall. You see at a flash of an instant drawings and sketches of what seem to be these shadow goblins. You see different work and papered out drawings and stuff. You see 3 or 4 different dresses thrown over a bed in the corner that looks like someone has been going through the closet trying to find something that works. And what was really fantastic about his bedroom, which is his Bastille's room, is there are 2 large mirrors that are spinning oval mirrors that would rotate on a pedestal, look like very fancy mirrors that like you would look in before you're in your wedding dress or something of that nature. Also, there's a large half circle window that looks out onto the rooftops of the city with a small balcony to the outside of it. The windows looks like they can be pushed and rotated to where it open, almost like that small window on your car. You know what I mean? The little wing window, like it's kind of like has that effect to it. Different chests, different things of his hanging on walls. Things that show alignments of planets and have mathematical equations hang on the walls about this place. All wooden floored and very warm up here. As some of the chimney that's from downstairs comes up through one of his walls, but does not open up. The stones actually radiate heat from the roaring fires down below. Okay. As you walk in, Dorbach walks alongside the table and says kind of cleverly, it's like, you're a little early. He says, but that's perfectly fine. It gives us a little bit more time to get to know one another. Possibly maybe come up with some side alliances or some other ideas that not everyone else would be privy to. There's nothing wrong with that. Planning is everything. He goes, I appreciate your punctuality, Merc. He says to you, he looks at you for a minute and he goes, looks like you've been a little busy. How'd that go for you? He's looking at the dents and things on you before you just fought that freaking Earth Genasi. What are you saying?
I'm still a little banged up. The body's still a little creaky.
Okay.
But aside from that, I'm fine.
He goes, at least you can be repaired. I'm a little jealous, to tell you the truth. He looks over and he says, and Tamara, gracing me with your presence, and I don't mean that lightly. I appreciate you taking the time to come up here and make this a matter of the city and for the people of the city, not so much as a little war between me and someone that's here to kick dirt in my eyes. He goes, thanks for taking an interest.
Tamara does not want to engage in conversation with him, so she just gives him the nod.
He recognizes that and kind of sarcastically grins from the corner of his mouth, almost like acknowledging that you don't think he's good enough to talk to. He kind of takes it that way, but still has like he has some kind of card up his sleeve that you're not aware of. Still has some look of confidence, like I don't need your approval. Has that kind of look to it. He looks at you and he takes a long moment, Scylla, when he looks at you and his eyes open up and he just kind of sighs. Well, and he turns his back to you, surprisingly not having anything sarcastically to say. He almost seems disappointed in you for something and you're not quite sure why. Okay? Turns away and doesn't speak to you. Kind of like, oh, okay. Walks away and goes back over to the table and shuts a couple books and things like that. Let's pause the action there for a minute and we'll get to Sade and stuff outside. Is everybody okay with that for a minute? Okay.
Sounds good.
So, Sade, you come back outside. You have Ignatius with you, and Miasha is talking to Taryn more about some things, and you just overhear a couple brief words talked about what some different ones of his kind have done to incorporate themselves back into society. And she seems to be very enthralled in talking with him. She is borderline enjoying the conversation rather than just getting information from a person. And you can pick up on this from her.
Inside check.
Okay, go ahead, roll.
That's a 19. I just wanted to see how into this conversation she actually is.
She is. And she is showing some signs and some things that she is letting her guard down a little bit more than you would think would be professional. You know, obviously she doesn't feel like she's under the threat that you do immediately. She is genuinely, from what you think and what you're picking up on, enthralled with this person and is letting her guard down a little bit to have a conversation with him. Okay, so react to that how you will.
So Sade is going to walk up to the two of them, kind of like, hi. So having a good time? Yeah. I need to speak with her.
She kind of looks at you with her eyebrows raised, and kind of looks over at him, and she goes, I'm sorry, I've made commitments, but I do want to finish our conversation. Are you here most nights, or exactly when is it that if a person were looking for you, they could find you? And he says in a very solemn and slow, rhythmic voice, as he does, I am here most nights when I am needed. And he goes, but if I know that you seek more conversation about my people and maybe your own place here, I will be here tomorrow and then the next day and then the next. And she kind of sarcastically gushes as if this is a chance at him being someone outspoken. She's now she is playing to his hand a little bit, Sade. You notice that. She goes, well, you need not do anything like that on my account, but it is appreciated nonetheless. I will return. We will finish this conversation. Taryn, stay strong and remember, people can change. He nods. She turns slowly and she looks to you with like half open eyes and a cocked eyebrow, like, kiss my ass. Right? She has
Like,
that kind of thing.
I.
As she goes to you, she goes, I don't know how you choose to play these things, but I find the more friends in a new city, the better.
Oh, friends, yeah. Say no more. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
She looks
Anyway.
again, takes a deep breath, and she goes, we had somewhere to go, and I see you've brought the avian with you?
Yes. The avian is called Ignatius. I think we're good enough to be on a first name basis here, so we need to make our way to the crow's nest, the courtyard up front. Let's walk and talk because time is of the essence.
Okay, so as you say that, she just goes, yes, walking and talking, I can do that. And the three of you start to walk off towards the skywell, the large cylindrical staircase that goes up to Skywatch. So, as you're walking and talking, Sean, is there anything particular you want to convey amongst them or have a conversation? Or
Yeah.
a plan as to what's getting ready to go on?
So I just want to start off with a little lighthearted and like, so, got a thing for the scaly chap, huh?
She goes, well, I don't know what you're meaning as far as the scaly chap, but if you're talking about the grandiose Draken that I just engaged in conversation with, I find him remarkably brave.
Oh, that's putting it mildly. Anyway,
she looks like you've caught her in the middle of words where she can't finish as you just move the conversation on lightning fast, not giving her a chance to react to your comment. Go ahead.
Sade makes a mental note to work on making scales appear on her every now and then.
Fucker is what you are. You're and I love it. Go ahead.
So I wanted you here with me. We're going to meet Asligar. Now, before you are getting all, oh, what's going on? I don't know.
Just because that's how I sound. I always throw my hands around the air. Please continue.
Yes. So he wrote me this letter, and I show it to Ignatius, and I show it to Yasha. And I want to hear him out because right now the pieces aren't coming together the way that I thought, and I'm getting really confused in my investigation.
She goes, I believe that is a bit of honesty.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, this is why I've chosen to have you come with me. I mean, you know. Anyway, so we're going to meet him. I have this scroll of sending, and I'm going to use it in case of emergency. But I need to hear him out. I need to hear him why, because, well, Nyasha, as you know, I'm not sure if you know this, Ignatius, but us who work in the shadows kind of have this thing where we don't really trust anybody else, and so sometimes we miscommunicate, knives get thrown, people get punched in the face.
Ignatius's face is one of absolute trying to be understanding. His mouth is agape, his eyebrows are, he's kind of, oh yeah, like a professor showing you an equation on a chalkboard that you have no fucking clue how it works. He is kind of like, yeah, well, of course, I'm sure you have your ways. There are many ways to get to the things that we need done in our lives. I understand.
Or
Beyond
sure, yeah.
that, look down, she goes, don't let him throw you.
There's alternate ways of getting things done. You know, not everyone has to take the high road. You take the high road, I take the low road. But anyway, what I'm trying to do is that Asliar wants to come to me with information concerning our mutual ship captain, him and I, Leandra.
Okay.
I have sworn to protect, even from herself. So, I must hear out his proposal and his information. And I have you here, Ignatius, to help me see the truth in all this, or at least see if he's on the up and up. And I have Miasha here as kind of a double-edged sword. I need to build trust with this one because, as you know, secrets don't relay.
Okay, as you say that, Ignatius shows his first signs of realizing what he's been asked to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Determine the truth and make sure that people stay safe in this scenario. This look comes across his face as he kind of nods and he goes, I understand, and I believe I am prepared to be able to help with that. When he says that, there's a strange confidence that comes across Ignatius. You have triggered something in him that he is good at and sure about. He may be a foreigner, but some things don't change no matter where you go. And that gives you a little bit of hope in this situation that maybe you've made a good choice here. On top of that, Miasha says, my only concern being a part of this now, being thrusting myself into this, I guess we're calling it a situation, is I need to know that you have a limit as to how far you're willing to let this Asliar go. Do you have something in mind that tells us for certain if you'll be needing my skills or not? I'd like to know where you draw the line with this person.
Look, being frank with you, everything he says I'm going to have to take with a grain of salt because he hasn't been the most forthcoming of individuals, I have to say.
Okay.
But if shit is to go down, I will pull the plug, and you'll know.
Okay.
You'll know. I'll let you know.
When she says that insight check.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. 23.
23.
How forthcoming are you being about that? Is this?
I'm being super forthcoming. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just here to have the conversation, hear a side out. If shit goes down, I'm ready to defend myself, but that's not the fight I'm looking for.
Okay, cool. Perfectly understood. Ignatius has no more questions at this point, and it says, let's do what we must. And he seems to be down and seems to be getting himself mentally prepared for the situation. And that pleasant grin that is usually across Ignatius's face seems to look more like a worried preparation, like he's trying to figure out some kind of riddle in his mind. He seems distant, but thinking. I must admit something. One great thing about drinking beer and playing D&D is, well, you got to pee. So I'm going to pause this for a minute. I'm going to take care of that business, and I'll be right back. And I suggest that anyone out there feeling the way I do the same. Sound good?
Yeah.
And okay, we're recording again, everybody. Bathroom break's over. So you are at Skywell now, Sade, and you guys are headed up through the center of it. Okay. Miyasha opens up and mentions something to you. She goes, about that business with the meeting in the city earlier, the meeting we're supposed to be having supposedly upstairs with Dorbach. It is a plan that he and I have both devised together. And what we're doing here is not so far off from it. It is, they kind of work in unison. So whatever this is, whatever we're doing here with this Asliar character, we need to be, if we can be, done with it by at least around 11:30, 12 o'clock, so we can get ourselves in the position so I can do my part possibly. And she looks at you because you have no idea what her part is. Okay, Sean. She gives you a long look. She looks over at Ignatius. She goes, and she's going to describe her part of the plot, what Dorbach's plan is, and things of that nature. And she's going to describe that to you now. Okay, on the way up through this for the Skywell. Now, in the same time, just so, and if you just pay attention to this part, I'll just do a twofer here. At that part, when you come in and sit down, Brahmas and the rest of you, and you were in that room, Dorbach. What's that?
In the room where it happened?
Yeah. So, Dorbach is going to explain to you all what's going on with that part of it in the room down there. Okay. So let's say we've got Silwan in there, we've got Kara, we've got Jeremy. He is going to begin, after he turned his shoulder over from Silwan, he's going to begin to explain what he wants to do in his plan. Okay. And it's going to go kind of like this. All right. He says, and for lack of a better term, and for lack of better words, it's almost like everyone's little nightmares are just kind of coming to life and preying on certain particular people in the city. Now, if I'm reiterating or saying something here that somebody already knows, just rest assured I'll get to the part that you don't know about in just a few moments. He says, but for now, let's focus on the following. He looks over at Brahmas, he looks over at Silwan. He says, first things first. We know that these things are preying on people that seem like they can't defend themselves. Easy targets. Moreover, and what's worse than that is, there also seem to be preying on people that are on my side of things, the merchants here in the city, or the web as they're called. And he goes, some of the other families and not so desirables of the Black Wing Guard and people of that nature that work here in the city. People that are the right-hand man of Valimar and wear the black and gold proudly. They're trying to cause a conflict between the two of us, which, gotta tell you the truth, I don't really care for. And at the same time, I can't really dirty my hands with this mess. So we're going to set them up. We're going to catch these fuckers in the act. And when we do, we're going to take them out. And he goes, I happen to have knowledge and know that Ignatius has on him something that can tie us back to the person responsible for doing this. He goes, does anyone in here know what I'm talking about? Now, of you ones in here, do any of you know the nature of the magical item that Ignatius has on him or has been given to him? Does anybody know? Okay. He looks at you and he goes, well, I'll be damned. Seems like he can keep a secret a little bit better than I figured he could. It's good to know. That'll be important later on. And he says, I myself would play a damsel in distress, but I've got to stay out of this one. He goes, this is that's what I've got Lydia for. And he looks over to the woman dressed in this smoky gray kind of wrappings and things of that nature. And she just gives a nod with her arms crossed still. Lydia and me have known each other for quite a while, haven't we? And she just nods. She still won't speak, and she's leaning up against the wall. He goes, Lydia's going to play the role of a damsel in distress down here in the lower part of the city, around the outskirts and around the base of the skywell that goes up to the next top part. He goes, inside of Skywell, Miasha is going to station herself up to do an all-nighter. She's going to be performing about halfway up on one of the many platforms that she does her amusements. He looks around at all of you all. He looks at you for just a minute, Silowin, knowing that she said you have seen her doing this before, making that connection with you. And he says it can be quite alluring. And he kind of smiles and he goes, and we're hoping that someone sees her as a little weaker than she actually is. He goes, and up on the third level, we're going to need one other person.
Can we just establish that Silowin is doing like that hot power girl stance? You know, like the
roll charisma check. Roll charisma check.
all right,
Come
proficient
on,
in that.
hot power girl stance.
Oh, a 19, but then we also add. Did you say performance?
Nope, just charisma.
Oh, charisma. I'm so sorry. That's +3. That's a 22.
Well, plus your proficiency bonus, you were a bard.
Just kidding. That's a 25.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you what, man. You look fancy.
Yeah, well, I'm also like kind of like disgustedly looking at him. Like I want to help, like not for him, if that makes sense, because I don't think he's a good person.
It's like at this point you're kind of pissed that his plan sounds good, but
yeah, but I don't trust him.
Yeah, I get it. Okay.
I don't trust him one bit. Like he's doing this probably to do something horrible, but I'm gonna help just because I want to help other people, not him. But I'm suspicious of him the entire time, so I'm like really, really paying attention to him.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, I don't like Dorbach.
Well, good luck with that.
Silowin does not like.
Did you say you don't like him?
No.
For everyone that didn't already know that, Silowin does not like Dorbach. Does everybody raise their hand if you understand that, please? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so it's official now. We know.
Are we 100% certain that she doesn't like him? And it's not just like she says she doesn't, but
She thinks that he would murder somebody for like 2 gold. Like she thinks he's scum.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
fair.
Thank you. Hold on for a minute. Okay, all right. Thank you. I got it. I'm gonna know. Okay, thank you. Okay, so having said that, which was the obvious, we will. What do I need? Oh, okay, I will. Okay, just okay. All right. So, having said that, again, when you have that stance, he looks at you, and he looks at how domineering you are appearing and stuff like that, and he smiles. And he looks over at Tamara for a long moment. He looks over at Lydia. He says, I don't know. Do you think either one of them can handle it? Lydia pushes herself up from the wall and walks over in almost a seductive type walk that draws you in to a degree. As she walks across the room with her hands at her sides, with her fingers extended to a degree, very poised, she walks up close to the two of you and starts to study you. Okay? She first goes to walk around, and you can say or do anything you want to at any moment here, ladies. Okay? She first starts to walk around and look Tamara up and down from about a 4-foot distance away from her.
And Tamara is gonna stand there, chest out, proud as she can be, not intimidated at all.
Okay. She looks you up and down, and you can feel her eyes still on you as you're kind of standing there, and she's behind you now, coming around the backside of Silowin. And then as she comes up around Silowin, you try to meet her gaze as she came around the other side? Or would you just stand still looking at Dorbach?
Oh no, I look her straight in the eye and say, "Did you get a good look?"
As she comes around, she takes the scarf off. She is very pale skinned. A skinny, chiseled looking female character. Almost like a young Jodie Foster kind of looking character. Okay, has the chiseled cheekbones that go down and kind of the tight lips and things of that nature. And her eyes have no pupils or anything in them, and they're rose colored and about halfway bloodshot, but her skin is very white and pale with long white and silver hair that flows down in a couple strikes coming out from underneath of her hood with the large horns that I described earlier. And she looks at you and she just goes, the wine has made you brave. That's good. She continues to walk around. She looks over, she goes, she says to Dorbach loud enough where you both can hear. She goes, one on the left can defend herself, but I think she's going to be too intimidating for someone to come after. The one on the right, once she sobers up a bit, would probably be the better choice. That's just my opinion. And she walks back over and leans against the wall again. Jeremy, are you saying anything at this point?
No, I'm just observing.
Wow, I feel like we're being preyed upon.
Sorry.
Like,
Your hot girl stance was just killing it.
yeah, well, I literally just had like that weird rape analogy with my like
No,
wing being
that's
ripped off.
horrible, man. No,
What?
that's horrible. No, man. But she did know.
No, I'm talking about with like the wing, my wing being removed is like a weird like rape analogy, like PTSD, like
Oh, I get it. Yeah,
trusting
yeah.
people, blah blah.
No, I get you.
Yeah. So like, she would be very uncomfortable in this situation, but very much pretending that she's not.
Okay. Roll a performance check, please. Oh no, you already rolled a charisma check and knocked it out of the park. Fine. You're fine.
Oh, I got a nat 20. No, I got a nat 20. You can't do that and take it away from me.
You know what? I'll give it to you. I'll stack it on the
Sorry, I got a fuck
greatness.
you.
I'll stack it on your mountain of greatness that is Silowin persona. I will do that.
Thank you.
Saying
Hot
that,
girl stance with she like lowers her shirt a little. Ultimate hot girl stance.
so Dorbach in
Got
that
a little under boob going.
little underboob going on, which is great because he's a halfling and that's perfect for him. So as Dorbach walks up to you, yeah, right,
Oh,
Jeremy.
gross.
It would be, it is what it is. You're the one rolling 20s. He walks up. It looks like you're
Look at it. It's right there.
it looks like you're the choice. So let me ask you something. Are you up for it? Can you be a little bit deceitful to make the city a better place for the king and his men? To keep the balance where it needs to be? Are you willing to put yourself out there as a potential victim? You know we'll have your back.
Will absolutely put myself out there as a victim, but not for you. And so remember that. I do it for the good of the people.
You say that cheesy shit, you say that, you can tell the booze is still not worn completely off. I do it for the good of the people.
I just got a nat 20, and now you're gonna tell me I come off like I'm drunk.
I can't help it. How it sounded. But with that, he still looks pleased with the result. He still got you to do this. So he says, he lays out some more of the plans, and I'll go over them briefly with you guys. What he's wanting to do is for you to pick from one of the outfits that's laid out on the bed. Okay. One that you think you're the most comfortable in that will work for you, that makes you look basic. You can go for basic, you can go for pretty, you can go for homely, you can go for all these different things. I'll explain them to you when you're selecting through them. Okay. And with that, he is going to station himself around to where whoever is the one that goes under attack, you're going to have to be tough and handle it for at least, in D&D terms, at least a round of being able to hold off against these things. And when that happens, he's hoping to keep Ignatius as the eyes. Ignatius is going to keep himself on Skywell, perched outside, because he has the ability to fly from place to place. And wherever the trouble comes, we're throwing out 3 hooks and we're bound to get a bite here. If it comes down the baseline where Lydia's at, that's where we're all going to try to herd to confront this shit. If it ends up going in Skywell where Miyasha's at, we're all going to join there. If it ends up going up top in Skywatch where you're at, Silouan, that's where we're going to go. And we're all going to follow Ignatius's lead. When he throws that to you, and you know that Ignatius has some kind of magical item that is the key to unlocking who's responsible for them, and that it can be used to thwart them if we get them right, that gives you a bit more confidence knowing he's a part of this. Okay? Do you have anything or any questions? And I'd say at this point, he'd put his hands behind his back and walk around, and he goes, does anyone have any questions before I go any further with this?
I guess Selena would just ask, what is in it for you, Dorbach?
Now, he's kind of already explained that, and most probably don't know if maybe you forgot. Tamara, do you realize what's
Possibly.
in this for him? Okay.
No.
Well, I'll go ahead and play it out and explain it again. Okay, it's okay. It's been a couple weeks.
It's been a while.
It has, yeah. So I'll try to do it in character for him. He explains again what his role is in the city. He is the spider. And he is the lesser of several evils. Every great city has to have an organization of people that do things that are beneath the law. Every city has its persona to have and has all this greatness, but if there's going to be an underbelly or an underworld society to this city, the king himself has said that he'd rather have me do it than someone that's truly evil, because he knows that I can be rationalized with, that he has sympathy. And although he can be a bastard, and he is a sneaky, intelligent fuck, him running the spider's web underneath the guise of the city is a much better situation than someone coming in from the city of raisins. The city of raisins. Yeah. The city of ravens coming in and having someone that truly has evil in their heart doing this job and trying to take shit over. So by eliminating these murders are being put down specifically to cause tension between Dorbach's underground version of the city and King Omadon's above law-abiding part of the city. They're trying to create little battles between them to cause tension, to break that delicate balance down. If this can be stopped, then everything goes back to the way it's always been and the way it works. And there's no one noose or planted. Whatever scheme this is, break down this what's the word? Symbiotes between these two halves of the city, it'll be stopped. That's what's in it for you guys.
Okay, well, I guess what I'm asking is, like, can I glean from like insight check or something that that's actually what it is, and that he doesn't have some like other nefarious like
Ulterior motive.
like
Go ahead, yeah. Roll a insight check. It'd be insight.
15.
You have no idea. He has a past thing of 22. That's
All right,
before I
fine,
even roll.
fine. I was hoping to get some more. I just don't trust him.
Right. Well, that's who he is. And he sees you studying him. And he says to you, very debonairly, with very wicked, crooked eyes and a large grin across his small face, oddly large. He's like, I can assure you of one thing. And I can't assure many people of many things, but I can tell you one thing. I don't wish anyone unnecessary harm and suffering. I've seen it too much, and I've seen it destroy greater civilizations than this. Now that you have my word on, you don't have to trust me. I don't entirely trust all of you. No more than you guys can actually trust yourselves if you've seen the shit and done the things that I've done.
And that's what doesn't make me trust you. But all right, I'll trust you on this one.
Lydia, let's give these folks a moment.
What?
He says, let's give these folks a moment.
Oh.
And he turns to walk out the door, and he looks at her. And he says, Lydia will stay watch on the outside of the door for you as you try to decide how you would like to disguise yourself. We leave here just before midnight. He says, find yourself a place in the top around the major court areas in Skywatch. If you need to have advice on where to go, I'm sure Dahan can point out a couple spots for you. That's your stomping grounds, isn't it, big guy? Dahan just kind of gives him a nod. And he goes, and if I could, I'd like to stay up there on that side too to make sure this one's safe. And he looks at you and says that civilly. That's Dahan suggesting he'll be there close in case something happens.
And I tell Dahan that I would prefer that for sure.
Dorbach goes to say something clever, and Dahan says that's non-negotiable. Very intimidatingly. Brahmas, go ahead.
Say before Dorbach walks out of the room, Brahmas will perk up. What's the odds of this item Ignatius has being wrong?
Being what?
I'm sorry, we didn't hear you, Jeremy.
Try it again, buddy.
What are the odds of this magic item that Ignatius has being wrong?
Being wrong?
He looks down and goes, well, if our mutual friend Vander knows his goods and knows what he's truly got, it shouldn't be a problem.
Tamara nods to reassure Brahmas.
All right, well, Dorbach is leaving now, right? So we can have a moment to talk.
Sure, he's walking away, yes. He's
Cool,
leaving out of
get
the
out.
room. He hears that and chuckles. Lydia turns around and narrows her eyes at you for just a moment.
And I narrow mine back. Like, come on.
As she shuts the door and is supposedly standing outside watching guard. What's the conversation between you guys on the inside?
Well, what are we doing?
Well, you're going to pick on a 1d6. I'm going to have you roll it. And that's going to help me make some decisions as to what kind of clothing and shit is laid out here. Okay?
It's a 3.
Oh, hold on. I'm not there yet.
Oh, well, shit. It's a 3 anyways.
Okay. I'll remember that. All right. And Dahan is going to tell you and escort you up Skywell and show you a good place to be and kind of wander around because he's used to the demographic and who plays late up there. He's going to show you a place to set yourself up. He'll tell you where he's going to be and of that nature and what to be looking for, because you know that Dahan has talked about he's been attacked by these things before. He and Oma were attacked by them, so he'll know what to look for. Okay.
Okay.
Tamara is going to tag along with Brahmas, wherever Brahmas goes, because she knows he's still not up to full health quite yet.
Okay. So we're going to have Dahan. I'm deciding as Dahan. He's going to be by you. We know now that Ignatius is going to be on Skywell. He'll be able to come to whoever gets ambushed, if any of us. Hopefully we do this right, okay? Quickly, okay? So Brahmas, where would you like to go? You know there's only so many of us, and we have to spread ourselves out.
And then the gears in Brahmas's head are ticking because he himself was worried about spreading so thin anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You said we had Silouan, Miasha, and
Lydia, the one that
Lydia.
just left out of here, the one you guys just met.
Who we hate.
Who we don't know.
I think Brahmas is going to be somewhere near. Well, I'd say knowing Dahan as well as he does, knowing that he's going to be a good protector, I think Brahmas will opt to be around Miasha.
Okay. So you're going to try to find a place to station yourself in Skywell. Okay. Tamara, where are you going?
Well, I was gonna go with Brahmas,
That
but
works. You can do that if you want. It's perfectly fine.
Tamara is actually gonna switch it up, and Tamara is gonna not be super close to, but she's gonna be keeping an eye on Lydia. So she's gonna be not so much there to protect her, but gonna be there in case something does not go according to plan.
Okay, Dahan says to you, maybe you could even pose as one of the guards that guards the gateway, the entrance to Skywell. Wear the black and gold, put your hair up, do what you have to do, and you could be stationed at the foot of it. That way you're kind of in between Miasha and the lower city, wherever this Lydia is going to be.
Yeah, Tamara agrees.
Okay. With that, we have to assume that this whole time, Miasha's been having a very similar conversation with you, Sean. Okay. So, having said that, where would you like to go after this is said and done? You know that somebody's going to be, they're selecting someone in the meeting tonight that's going to be on the top. We don't know who it's going to be. Miasha says she's going to be in Skywell, and this Lydia character is going to be on the bottom. Where would you like to put yourself when this starts up, or however this goes?
Sade is gonna stay in Skywell.
Okay. So try to take note of that, Jeremy. It's going to be you and Sade and Skywell. Tamara's going to be at the bottom. Ignatius agrees to put himself on an outside pedestal somewhere on the outside of Skywell so he can get to both areas as quick as possible. There are peaks and areas that he is privy to that are exactly on this massive construction, but are perched outside of it. He can come in through the different open balconies and windows and get to where he needs to be pretty damn quick. Okay? So Ignatius will be somewhere in that area. With that, let's go ahead and do some rolls to see how well everybody picks their positions.
Back on mute.
Okay? So here's what we're going to do. I want you guys
Wait.
to do, yes,
Can I talk to Dahan about where I should position?
absolutely.
All right, so I guess
Go ahead.
Silouan would ask like where, because I'm assuming we're using me as bait, correct?
Yeah, that's it. Once you pick
Okay.
on one of these outfits or costumes to wear, you're going to be pretty much bait.
Can I actually pick my costume instead of roll for it? I really want to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Okay. All right. So I asked Dahan, where should I go? Since you know this area, and I want to be in a kind of defensible yet vulnerable position.
He says to you, and he thinks for a long minute. He's kind of a slower speaking, kind of gruff native kind of person. And he puts his hand over his mouth and he thinks about it for a long moment. Okay, and you're going to be up top there. He says there's a lot of nights that go on where people leave the crow's nest and they really don't have a place to go. Maybe they've lost their fortunes there. Maybe they're just too drunk to make it all the way home. There's always someone lingering out and about up that part. He says if you were to perform songs and go up there and sing somewhere by the main square and be perched up in a place, that would be most likely. Do you have any? Go ahead.
I would want to be perched high as opposed to like out in the open and vulnerable.
Well, I'm sorry. When he says perched, he just means Skywell or Skywatch overall.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like high up, like I don't know.
You want you to sing.
He asked you about what kind of songs you know, and if you could sing any songs about troubled times to make yourself seem like you're just outside, down on your luck, trying to play the part of someone that's just saddened and outside singing, half intoxicated. He's asking if you know anything like that would go down.
Yeah, I know songs like that. Is there this is sad. Is there a fountain near the crow's nest that I could?
There is, yes.
I'm gonna go to the fountain.
Okay, that's the plan. All right. So he knows the crow's nest pretty well, and he is going to put himself up on that outside expanse of it. He'll probably be about 40, 50 foot up off the ground, hidden on the shadowy side of that place where the main lights of the sitting ship won't hit it, watching you as you wander along and sit on the sides of the fountain and things of that nature. There's natural water that runs out high up the mountain, and it irrigates through these. So the fountains up in Skywatch are actually a lot more fantastic than the ones that are lower laying. It's pretty cool stuff. So that'll be a good spot for you.
Right.
He says we'll go to the one. I'm trying to remember because I said this in another campaign. I don't want to backtrack on my words. There was one there that represented that general. Oh, I forget his name. The one that was played by Patrick Stewart. I can't remember that character's name right off the top of my head. But there's one there of him. And it's kind of the central place. He says that would be a really popular one to hang out by.
Yeah, no, that sounds good to me. That's where I'll head.
Okay. Tamara, you have decided that you're going to need to have some kind of clothes that make you look like some kind of guard.
Correct.
Okay. So who would you plan on talking to or asking about that as you leave this place? Lydia's standing outside, acting as a guard for you all until you're done with your meeting or have chosen what you want to do.
Who is the guy at the bookstore?
That was Xander.
Would he be a good resource?
Could be. If
Is it
not,
Xander?
one way through other. I tell you also another person. I tell you what, roll a investigation check, Tamara.
18.
Okay. You would know that you would have some stored back at the heart of the beast, because a lot of times when you are checking the vessels and things in the storage ships and whatnot, there are certain garb that you give to people to represent the city to be guards on these ships, mercenaries, if you will. They have to wear a certain black and gold to be able to sail in these vessels.
So I've already got this.
You've already got some back at the heart of the beast, so you could go down there. You could get one from there. You might run into Valdera. I don't know. She might be there hanging out. It's hard telling. I'll roll for that, and then you would be able to go back and be a guard at the bottom of the Skywell. That would work. Okay.
Good.
I'm going to say roll me a 1d20 to see how fine a quality of one you've got laying around there.
17.
Not bad.
Okay, and then roll me a 1d4.
1.
Okay, you just have one pretty good one. It's not the best, but it's not bad. Okay, that's what you pretty much in your memory think you have there waiting for you if you wanted to get it. Okay. Let's say what else? What are kind of loose ends we need here?
What outfit am I gonna wear?
Well, I had several written down here, different ones that you could select from. So let me just read them off to you, and you decide.
And I want to look as vulnerable as possible, I'm assuming.
You know what? I would say yeah, but put your own spin on it. I mean, do what Sylvan wants to do. It's up to you.
All right, cool.
You definitely want attention.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. So what is it you're looking for? Something subtle that's going to make you look kind of
Naive.
okay. There's definitely one of those. Okay. The issue being the one wing. Okay.
Yes.
So you're used to wearing your armor in a certain way, and you've not really wore anything quite bardish or robish like this since you lost it. You're going to feel kind of unempowered. You built this armor, and you have this persona in your head that you're strong with it because it's kind of replaced what was taken from you. And when you find yourself looking at that, and it being this a flowing dress and looking a certain way, it reminds you of that. Brahmas, roll a perception check, please.
Did it fall off the desk?
What'd you get, buddy?
Perception?
Yeah.
It's a nat 20, so 22.
Hey.
Ooh.
For role-playing purposes, when you see Silouan look at that, you get what she's going through. You know her pretty well. You know the transition she took. You knew what you had to bring her out of to empower her again. And you see her take a long pause. As at first she's quick to go through and decide. She talks to the mayor a little bit. She's deciding on this. She points to the one. She picks it up and she looks at it. But there's a sadness that comes over her. There's a moment there. What is it that you do?
And it's mainly just because she's realizing the one wing issue.
Well, and she's going to be out and exposed again. The thing that she built to make herself tougher, she's going to have to figure out that that's inside of her, not what she's wearing. And, there's dimensions to it here, but you can just see a major hesitation on her part when she thinks about being without what she's propped herself up with, so to speak. That makes sense, Sean? You get what I'm saying? Okay.
I think Brahmas would go stand next to her and just be like, remember everything that's made you you. Don't rely on external trinkets. Rely solely on your own nerve. You never know
Dylan.
at what point you may be without those things and you still have to fight.
Did you hear what he said?
I get the gist.
Okay.
Silouan nods and she says, "This outfit is not who I am. I am me and I am powerful." And then she puts it on and she gets ready to save some people.
Okay. As she starts putting it on like a warrior would, and I will say, obviously, avians aren't so bashful about their things.
Yeah, no, she just gets naked right there in front of everybody.
Dahan turns and stares towards the wall.
Mara grabs her shield and just kind of puts it in front of Dahan's view.
And that will say that little reality break works the rest of the booze out of your system, Silouan.
Cool.
That was kind of
You
like,
see Brahmas's visor, like,
It just lowers.
fantastic. He's going into stealth mode. Okay.
Yeah, no, she's naked. She's running through the room. She don't care.
Tamara's trying to cover her goodies.
Okay, so that's the plan. Okay, so On a 1d20, roll me a 1d20, 1 being terrible, 20 being fantastic. Tamara, I want you to roll it to see how it goes when you go to the Heart of the Beast to get your outfit.
Oh,
Oh.
it's an 8.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
But do I get like, charisma proficiency? bonus?
Absolutely not. No. Okay.
Shit.
So yeah. Okay, yeah. So as you leave there, do you have any parting words for everybody? You know what time you need to be in your position.
Before we leave, I give everyone a hug.
Oh.
Okay. Is this
Just
after you get dressed?
No.
She's partially dressed, giving everyone a hug.
I give everyone a hug, and I just say, if we don't make it out of this, I'm so glad to have known all of you. Brahmas, thank you for teaching me everything I know. Tamara, thanks for being you. And is Ignatius with us?
No,
No.
he's with the other ones. But Dahon is standing there with a big breath, knowing you haven't talked a whole lot yet, and he doesn't know what to expect. He's like,
Okay, well, I hug Dahon and I say, thanks for being cute. And I hug him. I'm really into half-naked warrior men.
he smiles, and as you do, you feel 2 very big arms come around you.
She embraces.
He takes a deep breath, and you can feel the chest expand and go back down. And he says, pretty and brave. He goes,
Tamara looks at Brahmas and just
Solon immediately puts her hands over her heart and is like, thank you.
Promise's visor still down.
He says, you would have made a fine warrior in my homeland.
And she bows.
she curtsies.
Yeah, she curtsies half naked. Like it's weird.
It's fantastic. Good stuff. D&D. I love it. So
Should I stay or should I go?
Should I stare or should I not?
That is so the name of this episode. So as that all goes down, Sean, is there anything on your side of things that you would like to look at or take care of before you head on up through Skywell to the very top looking for Asliar? You're muted.
Well, I know I've already left, so I get my hand crossbow anytime soon, right?
Right. No. You do not.
Okay.
Now you have your rapier. You have, Isabella, but that's
I'm just gonna summon out Isadora and just have her on my shoulder for now, and just continue up to Skywatch or the Skywell and
Skywell to Skywatch. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as you're doing this,
Wait. Oh.
And while we're waiting for the ambush thing, whatever, I'm going to disguise myself as that cleric that helped Oma out. The one that looks like Cher.
oh, nice. Yeah, nice. Okay, good deal.
While I'm hugging Dahon and telling everybody that I love them in case I die, can I borrow a knife off of one of them that I can hide underneath my clothes? Because I'm assuming I can't bring my glaive
Correct.
if I want to look defenseless.
When you're doing that, Dahon would suggest that you send that so Ignatius can have it and bring it to you if you need it.
Wait, what do you mean? Like when I'm already out there or before we go out?
In preparation to when you are going to where you need to be, if we'll be passing Skywell, we should leave your glaive with the person that's going to get to you the quickest to arm you in case the harm comes your way.
Oh, for sure, but just as like an immediate.
Tamara slides her brass knuckles.
Okay, that'll work.
I like it. Yep.
Wait, no, that's strength, isn't it? I'm not great at strength.
It is what it is.
All right, fine. I guess brass knuckles it is.
And the thing is, these brass knuckles that she actually has, you can't drop them.
Oh.
There's an enchantment over top of them that makes it where if you have them on, anything you're holding in the hand with the brass knuckles, including them, it cannot be dropped even if you're knocked unconscious.
Interesting. Okay, I'll take it.
Okay. That's something off of the old character sheet that I forgot to give you. There was a glove that Amy had collected with that. So now we'll just turn it to brass knuckles because it makes sense for this.
Yeah, you had the white gloves of grasping and then brass knuckles.
Yeah. So now I think that's a neat play on it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. So with that, the plan is that Ignatius will have the glaive on him and be able to equip her if need be. Miasha knows that if she is doing her routine and things like that, she always has her chakrams on her. Not that she needs them. That'll be part of her performance in the midway of this. But first, we need to deal with Asliar. That needs to come first. So what we're going to do is we're going to deal with that now. And then I'm going to be rolling some checks to see how well you guys can plot out where you want to position yourself and how well you perform when you're there playing the role of these people. Yeah, what's up, Kara?
I rolled my 8 and we never discussed what happened.
Okay, remind me again what you were rolling
You
for.
said roll to see how it went to get my disguise to be a guard.
Okay, yeah. We're going to get there. I have it written down. I have your 8 down. Right now, I'm going to deal with the whole issue with Asliar. Then we're going to get to that, everyone getting their things. Okay, so you're an 8 there. Okay, got it. We will get to that. Okay, Sean, you ready? The answer is no. So, okay, here we go. You ready, buddy?
Yep.
All right. So, Ignatius asks, as you guys are just now starting to get to the top of Skywell, he goes, so let me make sure I understand this. Do you want me to kind of stand in the foreground of this and just be a silent witness to this, or would you like me to be part of the interrogation as well?
Step back a little bit and just watch. Just watch. If you have any questions you'd like to ask by all means.
And he says, and you know what I have in my possession.
Yeah.
If we have need of that, you let me know. Okay. He says it's a limited amount, so we can't afford to make many mistakes with this. All right. Miasha unravels the red scale covered satin scarf down here that almost animates with a mind of its own as it wraps around her body. And you see the 2 chakrams are swinging and dangling down by her legs as she's swinging them almost like she's sitting on a swing in a park. And it's wrapped itself around her arm and over her other shoulder. And she's just kind of walking leisurely, looking like a badass, walking about 10 foot behind you, looking up around the rooftops and looking around the vicinity.
I sent Isadora to just fly in the general area and just tell her just to keep watch.
Okay. Roll a perception check for Isadora.
Ooh, it's a nat 20.
Okay. Here's what Isadora notices. Now, what was the intelligence of Isadora? Did we decide on a voice, like what she sounded like when she talks to you?
She has a similar voice to mine. It's a little bit more feminine.
Okay.
Like almost younger sounding, I want to say.
Okay.
She sounds more like Tilda Swinton than anything.
Okay. What was that again?
She sounds a little bit more like Tilda Swinton. So.
Okay. So what you perceive there is you see that on the far end, almost on the top of a stairway that would head down to some of the ships. Like when we first did that battle map, Sean, and there were 2 different stairwells that those wolves came down. Asliar is leaned up against one of those large masts up on that top part, not quite down where the long docks were beside the ships, but on that top part on the far end of this large kind of like courtyard social area. You have to pass that large fountain that we talked about that Silverman was going to hang out with at a certain point. And as you would walk past, as you fly past that, you notice something peculiar because it is cold outside. And you would notice that there is a barrel that seems to be overturned in the distance, and an area around Asliar of at least 20 foot seems to be frozen over with a sheen of ice on the ground. And you don't know if this would be a very blatant ambush tactic, as you know what he is, but this also could be a defensive measure on his side, since there is, and what appears to be, nobody with him. Okay. It seems like he's just got water there to be his backup, and this has been planned as such. Okay. And alone, and not noticing. Roll stealth for the bird, please.
16. I think they get a bonus. Okay, so that's total 19.
Okay. After a brief moment, Asliar looks up to see the bird, makes eye contact with the bird, then stares down ahead, knowing you guys are coming shortly behind it, with a natural 20 roll. Okay. As you see the figure silhouette in the darkness, leaning against the pillar, do you lead the way? It seems that's kind of the nature of this. It doesn't seem that Ignatius wants to be in front at any means. He stands probably about 5 foot back behind you. Miyasha, he stands 10 foot behind you.
Getting closer, maybe within 20 feet of him, I kind of have Ignatius and Miyasha kind of stop, and I just proceed forward, just keeping about a 10-foot distance between me and Asliar.
Okay. Do you get close enough to step onto the ice, or do you stop at the edge of it?
I stop right at the edge of the ice. I'm not stupid enough to step onto the ice.
Okay. Remember, this is Tom Middleston. There's a Hiddleston or Middleston? With an H?
H.
Okay, Hiddleston. Okay. And no smile, no cutting words here, which gives you a sense of, I don't know if you want to say integrity, but there's no games being played right now. The voice speaks up in the distance and says, well, at least it's nice to know that the large one can deliver a message.
Why am I here, Asliar? What do you know? Tell me everything you know.
As he takes a breath, cold air comes out and freezes in a mist in the air in front of him. And he takes his fingers and runs through it, and it just stays there. As he draws a picture of a raven in the actual misty breath that just hangs in the air in front of him. Looks through it at you like looking through the keyhole of a doorway. And then blows on it and it scatters it back into the air. He says, I don't know how much time we have left to tell each other everything, Sade. But what I can tell you is this. You're too close to this. He says, and because of that, we need to act now. This is not going to get any easier. There's not some other opportunity here. I have survived and dealt with this for far too long already. This is not the life I wanted for myself. And this is not the life I believe Cleandra knew she was getting into.
As he says that, Sade lifts her palm up and then uses minor illusion to like make it appear like a chessboard on her hand. And then she has like chess pieces that look like her, as they are Glandra, a raven, one that looks like a snake, and one that looks like a hawk, and all these things. And like this game that we've been messed up in, I can't seem to understand the rules. I need to know what's the next move.
He steps out towards you and steps within arm's reach of you, just on the edge of the ice, looking down at the ground, and goes up and looks at your illusion. And it looks at the pieces on the board. It says, the game is simple if you know how to break the rules. Imagine you're this piece here. And he reaches over and touches the illusion of the one that is of the bird. And when you go to move that, it turns out it's a different piece entirely. And as he does that, you see that bird turn into what looks like a curled up basilisk on a pedestal, chess looking piece. The problem is you don't know how this one's going to move. If this one's even on your side trying to help you win the game, you don't even know what makes it change for sure, but you have an idea. You have an idea. She goes, I've studied Gleandra. I've watched her from afar, trying to make sure not to get close enough to get bitten and hurt myself in this. He goes, gods can only imagine why you haven't been drug into this already. And I couldn't tell you. I needed to be your enemy. I needed people to not trust me so that the ones that didn't trust could trust me. You understand this?
It's a weird fucked up way. Yes, I do. Inside check. That's a 8.
Worse than you did. He is telling you a truth, and you can tell from the frustration in his voice that he doesn't have better control on this and had to include you in this to begin with. He would rather this had not a damn thing to do with you in the way his tones are going, but it's a necessary thing. That's what you're getting. Okay? Ignatius speaks up and walks up and says, like Columbo, well, pardon me if I had, I just wondered and was listening to you guys. But he walks up and says, why all this deceit? Have you not just thought about asking her? You've been on the same ship for, I don't even know how long you've not mentioned it. Miyasha walks up and goes, it's not as simple as that. If it were, we wouldn't be here at all in the cold at this point at night when what we need to be doing is wondering about the city and moving forward with our lives. You can't go to her because you don't know when the piece is going to change. Am I on to something?
Yes, you are. And then on the chessboard, another few pieces appear, like an angel piece appears, a tiger's piece appears,
Okay. Are you headed somewhere with that, or you want me to continue?
I'm just having that on showing.
Okay. So, as Asliar looks over what you're presenting there in your illusion, He says, you think with just merely more or lesser pieces, we can surround the greater one and bring it down, as the game's intention was to begin with. He goes, agreed. The trouble is with this game, these aren't merely just pawns that you lay on their side when they fall. And he looks long and hard at Miasha, Ignatius, and even you. Are you guys willing to play a game knowing that some pawns will fall?
Sade thinks for a moment and says, I believe these poems will bring light to what is going on. And as we all know, the night is darkest before the dawn. So,
As you say that, Miasha actually walks up beside you and looks at Asliar and puts one foot onto the ice and says, now that was honest and well spoken. So, do you hope to face Gleandra and see which piece you get? How does this play out from this point on?
the
So,
way I,
go ahead, Sean.
the way I see it, either way, I will have fulfilled my task. Protect Leanne, even if it means for herself.
Asliar looks at you, says, Gleandra is currently on the ship, resting. She's been on watch all day because of the murders. The problem is, when she's resting, the other side of her may not be. Now, in that writing, what details did he put in that about how he believes she's being controlled? Did he put anything in there like that?
If I remember correctly, it's something about I don't know if he said specifically, but it's something about like a trigger word or something. It's kind of like in our terms, she's kind of like a sleeper agent. If something triggers her to switch into this alternate persona.
Okay. He goes, I've done this long enough to be entrusted with the trigger word. And I dare not use it only when she tells me I have to on the next turn. That time is coming soon. She has asked me to do this tonight, which is why this plan is in motion and needs to come to fruition tonight. But there is a moment that passes when the Gleandra that you know, Sade, falls back asleep, and the Gleandra that made the bitter deal that put that mark of that wretched bird on her comes to. Only then will it reveal itself. And Asliar calls it it. You know, he seems to be talking about something materialistic here, and you're not quite understanding what that means. Ignatius catches on to that and says, what is this it you're speaking of? Asliar puts his hand up over his face like this and brings it down. A mask. The item that possesses and is leached and latched on to Gleandra at her own expense is called the Mask of the Goblin Lord. It is a vile thing from another time, and it controls and holds within it the murderous souls of the street urchins that have been rampaging this city. There are hundreds of them. Their souls locked to this mask. She becomes a conductor of an orchestra of murder and chaos. When I utter these words to her, using the mask to bring this curse upon the city, it has to be taken off and it has to be destroyed. The only chance you're going to get to do it without some pawns dying is if you can get it in that instant that the word is spoken and it reveals itself. As Liar says in Sade, it's going to have to be you. I can
Understood.
speak the word, but I can't do both.
Understood.
Okay. Miyasha kind of looks around and says, so am I to just stand there and watch this happen? Am I supposed to be a part of this or something? What exactly is it that you're asking of me here? Aziar looks over and looks at you, Sade, as if he's asking your permission to say words. Okay. Says there will be repercussions for the mask being stripped from its owner. It will show us a way to make an end of it, but this city will be under siege by a horde of them. It will break the control of the Goblin Lord with those souls that are already lingering in the shadows, even now as we speak, as the hour grows darker and the shadows grow. There are hundreds of them in the city right now. When Glanda's control over them is broken, they will be free and free roaming in this city, and they will need to be taken down. But it is an end. It's a heavy burden one. He chuckles sadistically a little bit. You know what I mean? It's unnerves you to a degree. We fool, we steal, we fight. You will be left out here to make sure that fight starts the second the mask is taken off. Miyasha nods and agrees. Ignatius looks to you, Sade, and says, and of the item, what would its use be now? And you know what the item does, so do you have any words to say? That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't know. Just tell them to hold on to it.
Yeah. I don't know.
He says, Ignatius says, you maybe with patience, its use will be revealed to us. I'll keep it safe. Vander will probably want it back anyway if we're not even going to use it. With that, what's your thoughts here? What are you thinking, Sean? Are you liking the way this sounds? Is there some other trick you want to do? What are you thinking here?
Right now, the only thing running through my head is "For the night is dark and full of terrors."
Right.
Yeah. All right. I'm feeling it, seeing things are making sense. So Sade's down to with the plan ambush.
Okay. So now that we've got that in place, let's do some rolls for everybody to see how everybody does getting their shit together. I'll start with Tamara because she rolled the 8 earlier. Okay. Now, that was a low roll. That puts you in the 6 to 10 category. Okay. Yeah, I know. I didn't mean to laugh like an evil villain here, Kara. I apologize. Shit's about ready to get real. So, as you do that, you head into the heart of the beast. It is getting to be later. You know, Wynota is going to be at that place playing for quite a while, and then we'll be up later. Out on the front porch of the place, you see that large half-orc man that works as the butcher for the Heart of the Beast, the one Winona tells, hey, cut this, take this, and that, and the other. Pretty much the one that does all the dirty work. Always wearing what looks like a large apron and leather armor that shows a lot more of him that does the armor. A scarred up face with a tuft of wiry black-green hair that goes down off one side, covers one side of his face. A failed gladiator warrior, but still mighty in his own right. He sits out there on the porch, and he looks at you, and he says, so how was the ale there? It'd been nice if I could have maybe got to come down and have a little bit and had not a bunch of dwarves judge me on my bloodline. Instead, I sat here and listened to the fun echo down the streets, listened to Winona and her fucking song, just singing along, having fun and all. Maybe I should just soak my apron and try to get off the blood. Maybe that's the way I should entertain myself tonight.
To make him feel better, Tamara says, the wine, the beer, it was all bottom shelf. You didn't miss anything.
Roll a deception check. You don't believe it for a second. You didn't do very good.
Oh, that's a nat 20 plus my proficiency plus my charisma. So that's going to be 28.
Actually,
So-
she got a yeet.
That's
So-
amazing. That's really good. So when you say at first, he has that look on his face like bullshit. But then when you say this to him, he looks there for a minute and he goes, "Oh, it's probably spoiled. It wasn't meant to be away from their own homelands for that long. I've never had much of a taste for their type of thing, regardless anyway."
Tamara tries to lighten the mood and makes the like gagging face. She was like, you didn't miss out.
He goes, it's strange you're here at the same time that she is. And he's talking about Valdera. She's usually not in, especially this early, but she's been there stewing around for a while, sharpening that sword of hers. I wonder what she's up to. She doesn't look good lately. Have you noticed?
Tamara gives a deep and heavy sigh and says, I'm very aware.
Best to keep busy, I say. There's something else that needs slaying or doing. Get her on that as soon as possible. That's the way I would deal with it.
Tamara gives a nod.
Are you heading on in, or would you like to have more conversation with them?
I'm gonna head on in.
Good night. Thanks for lying to me.
Tamara says,
Wait, he has no idea that she lied.
Tamara says, I'll find you something good and bring you one back.
You're already a good one, Tamara. You're already a good one. Be safe.
Tamara says likewise and nods.
He just looks out. As you open the door, Valdera is sitting in there with her armor laying over the side of a chair, just wearing the gray and navy blue cloth part of it that she normally wears. Hair hanging down over the side of her face. Has her sword laid out, sharpening it with quite a crude stone, and really making some sparks every once in a while near the ends of it, really putting it into it as if she's mad at the blade for some reason. And she looks up at you. You can see beside her there's a mug, half full, but you see drips on the table, like she's been drinking and spilling quite a bit. She looks up at you. Do you say anything initially, or you just look at her and judge?
Tamara again notices the half full pint, walks up and says, give me. And I'm going to assume Valdera hands her the glass, and Tamara is going to knock it back in one swig.
Okay. Um, she would give you the glass if she knew you were going to drink it. At first, she hesitated because she thought you was just trying to take it from her.
No.
I
So
know you've been
Tamara
mad about her
Tamara-
drinking so much lately, but she hands it to you because she sees that you're going to have it.
yeah, and Tamara knocks it back. Once it's down, Tamara takes a very deep sigh and says, "It's been a day. There's been a lot going on. We haven't checked in a while. How are you?"
She looks up at you, and she looks back down at the blade and goes back to sharpening. Without looking you at, she goes, "Staying busy. You know, just trying to do what I can to make the world a better place, I suppose." And she just keeps sharpening at the sword and stuff like that. She goes, "And how are you doing? How are how are your new friends and everybody doing?"
Tamara just gives a sarcastic, "Oh, being a hero has its ups and downs," jokingly. And then kind of wants a serious moment and says, "Can you look me in the eye?"
She takes the stone and she places it on the table. And she takes the sword and she leans it hard against the table, cutting it into the side of the wood table so it'll hold itself in place by notching it. Sharpened very well. She stands up and she looks at you. She is weary. She is not strong right now. She has something wrong with her.
And Tamara, knowing her like she does, senses all those feelings and without saying a word, gives her a very long and tight hug. No words are spoken.
Okay. Wow. It's interesting. She whispers over your shoulder. You can feel her take a tight, deep breath in as if she's trying to hold something back. You both needed this. And as that happens, she says to you in a very unfamiliar stuttered voice from her, which you don't ever get. She goes, "What are we doing here? What things were so much simpler when the bad guys showed their teeth before they tried to eat you. I I don't know what to do." And she stutters her voice and she says, "And now the only thing rearing its teeth at me is inside my own fucking head. Tamara, I can't. I'm no good to you like this."
Tamara squeezes her tighter for a few seconds, releases, and says, "I can tell you're going through a lot. I can tell this is something that you need to do on your own. However, I may have something that can assist." And then Tamara's going to reach into her bag and pull out that lantern thing that she got from Vander.
Nice.
And she explains that, she doesn't go into too much detail, but says essentially gives her the umbrella view and says, "Tonight when you sleep, place this near you, and hopefully you will awaken with some answers." And leaves it very simple. And kind of, that's the end of the conversation. And she kind of gently places her hand on Valdera's shoulder, gives a firm squeeze, and says, "You got this."
Okay. As you do that, are you standing there or are you walking away?
Tamara stands there for a minute. She kind of ends the conversation knowing that Valdera is not big on talking about feelings, but it's going to give her the opportunity that if she wants to say anything else, she can. If nothing is said, she will leave.
When you go to turn around and walk away, she puts her hand on top of yours, like this, to stop you. Half comforting, half stopping you. And she says something to you. She says, I have to ask you something. And I have to.
Tamara says, "Ask away."
But you need to understand, I envy you. I know who you could have been. I saw the, and she kind of laughed. She goes, I saw the spoiled girl with the locks. And I know that you turned a shoulder to that easy way. And I know who you are. I don't think many people here do. She says, and you should be proud of that. And I just want you to know, no matter what happens, that I will always be proud of you for that. No matter what happens. She says, but you know, that whole time no one ever wants to talk about, you know, where I was like not around and I was gone and no one seems to have any answers for me or anything like that. And I was gone for months. You know, that time? And she's being sarcastic and angry. You do that she was gone for quite a while. She did training with Nademus for a while, and she went off and she was gone for almost 4 months, and you didn't know what happened to her. You thought she was on a long training thing, something that he had set her up on doing, which is Ned the Giant Slayer. And she asked you, you remember that time?
Tamara nods.
I have blood on my hands, Tamara. And I'm just now seeing it. I'm just now seeing it. It has to, if Rylan ever told you that I was the enemy, what would you do? Would you listen to your own heart, or what would you do?
Tamara puts her hand on top of her hand that's on her shoulder,
okay,
and says, Valdera, I know you. I trust you. I believe you, no matter what.
She kind of grins, and she goes, that's what I was afraid of.
Oh, no.
You're better than me. And I know that now. Don't compromise that self just to bring yourself down to my level. Don't do it. If Rylan ever says that you need to stay away from me, do yourself a favor. Do it. Because I'm responsible for breaking myself. I'm never want to be responsible for undoing all the work you've done to make you.
Tamara cuts her off and says, you don't get to tell me what to do. I make my own choices, and right now I choose you.
It's the only reason why I'm still trying.
And Tamara, reaches her hand out and kind of they're holding hands. She goes,
Yeah.
don't look at it as you pulling me down. Look at it as me helping you get up, and tries to put a more positive, optimistic spin on the situation.
When you say that, the dam finally breaks on her, and a large welled up tear that she's been holding back this whole time finally just comes down her face. And she laughs and she goes, so it's back to that. Is it that time when we were kids? Now it's your turn to help me. I knew you'd turn it into that eventually. I knew you would. You can't help yourself. I couldn't just have one up on you, could I?
And Tamara jokingly says, you wish. Never will this happen.
Okay. So with that, that's the interaction you got for Nate. Okay. Thank you for playing along. That was needed. That was a good one. That was good.
It was good.
You're able to find the one piece, and as you're walking back out, she's sitting there sharpening that sword more, and she sees you carrying that piece over your shoulder, and she looks to you, look like, what in the fuck are you doing? Right? Like she's like sees you carrying out this guard outfit. Do you say anything to her?
Tamara looks at her and goes, got any more of that ale? I could probably use another drink. We're in the middle of a mission.
Hey, Sullivan, you're not there.
Also,
Hey,
Jeremy,
no one
is
said
your
that
dog?
to you
is
when
your-
you were drinking outside. No one said that shit to you.
No, I know. But Jeremy, is your dog biting your beard? Okay.
Yeah, he'd Billy Goat the shit out of me.
Something familiar only lasts so long, buddy. It'll quit. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. So with that, she would have some stuff. It's warm, but it's good. And it's stuff she's had out sitting on the table for a while. And she
You're
gives
gonna
it to you.
let Sullivan die.
No, I'm not even with you. I'm at the bottom with Lydia.
All right.
So just for like shits and giggles, Tamara takes a giant sip of warm beer and says, all right, time
It's
to
more
go
like
have some.
wine. It's more like really strong ale, almost to a wine degree is what she has.
All right, well, she's gonna take a big swig.
So it's cider.
She's gonna say, that's what I needed. Let's go have some fun. And she gives Valdera a wink and says, I'll check in on you later.
She goes, I'll stay up for this one. And she waits there. And she
Right.
says, and she says thank you with her mouth without saying words.
Tamara nods.
Okay. All right. So that's your scene. Now, Brahmas, you have to decide what you're going to do here. You are a large construct that has to find a way to blend in to this tower that leads up to Skywatch. You have a plan as to how you want to camouflage yourself, how you want to look like you're supposed to be there. You know that Miasha has already made part of this plan, but doesn't know that you're going to be the one that goes there. Are you wanting to, if you're too close and play the bodyguard to her, she can't play a victim. Okay? You've got to be away from her. You know that. Okay? Do you have an idea as far as where you would like to position yourself or what you might want to do exactly?
Swinging for the fences. Are there any statues at all in the plaza that we're at that Brahmas might be able to resemble?
Okay. Okay,
Like, even if he has to move a current statue somewhere into a shadow.
Okay. If that's your plan, roll 1d21, absolutely not. 20, there's something that you damn near think you could resemble and look like an ancient knight statue or something.
18.
Okay. There is something particularly helpful that you think you could be a part of. Okay. Now, you don't know how much magical influence you need to have cast on you to do this. Probably not very much. But you look like you're made out of what you're made out of, you'd either have to remove it and replace yourself on that pedestal, or camouflage yourself some other way. But halfway up, probably about 1 or 2 flights away from where Mayasha is planning on performing, there are 2 statues of what look like to be ancient knights that fought the giants back in the day. Okay. And they are standing there, and it's a normal booth where people come to sign up to join the airships. It's almost like a registry booth. Okay. In your mind, you're looking at them and you're thinking about it. And you could, the 2 are a matching pair. So if you were able to find a spell or something to help you make you look like the other one, you could remove one and it would work. If you were to position yourself in there to look like a third one amongst them, but still try to look like them, you might be able to make it work, but it's going to take more than just going up there and standing there. It's going to take a little bit of foresight and practice to make this all go down the way you want it. Is that something you want to seek out and try to do?
Yeah, because if I can remain inconspicuous as possible, then
Okay. Now, what magic do you have available to you, and what would you need to ask of somebody, you think, to be able to pull this off? While you're thinking about that, let me go ahead and talk to Silwyn. Okay. So Silwyn, with newfound courage from the words that Brahmas has given you, you realize that it is you that is the power, not what you have on at all. Okay. You realize that you're not going to be able to have your glaive. Dahan says he will give that to Ignatius for you, or somebody.
Well, Dahan would be close by, wouldn't he? So he could just keep it.
He would say that'd be fine. He can just keep it then.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dahan can keep it.
All right.
But I still have the brass knuckles that
You do. Okay.
Mara
Well,
gave me.
nice. Yeah, right. Okay. So let's go ahead and roll 1d20, 1 being terrible, 20 being fantastic and grandiose. Let's see how you're able to position yourself and where you stand up there and how well you're able to pull this off.
What was it?
She rolled an 18.
Okay, that is pretty good. All right. So, hold on, my dad just texted me. Let me see what's going on.
Oh, yeah, go do that for sure.
That's it only takes me a second here. We're conducting our business and doing all of our stuff, and I'm just checking on little messages people send me here once in a while. Just a second, guys. I'll call them back. Okay. So,
I imagine that Silhouette is looking really vulnerable, like hanging out, like sadly singing and crying. Just trying to look as easy as possible to like attack.
okay. With an 18, let's put that towards a performance check.
Okay.
So your
I get plus
efficiency and all that shit. Whatever.
I get +6 to performance.
24.
24. Okay. Write that down and keep that in mind, okay?
Okay. Well, I don't have a pen, but okay.
I got it.
Okay. Sade, Sean.
I'm gonna go get the pen.
It is 9:30, guys. Okay. Do you want me to push forward a little bit more and try to go with you guys confronting her? Or do you want me to give you a couple days to think about it and we'll pick this up next time?
I think take a couple days to think about it then.
I'm sorry, Sean. I couldn't hardly hear you, buddy. What'd you say?
I'm fine with what y'all want. I would need a couple days to figure out a battle plan.
Okay. Are you guys okay if we stop the game here for tonight? And then when we return, we know that what Brahmas' plan is, he's going to try to figure out what kind of sorcery he can make himself look like a public fountain. Silwyn's going to be pulling off the best woe is me shit.
Yeah, I'm crying like I'm.
Radiant red.
Yeah.
Should I stay or should I go?
Should I stay?
Turn around, bright eyes.
No. It's like what's the song? It's like, oh, I don't know.
You're gonna
Never
have to
mind.
give me lyrics.
The Danny Darko song.
All around
Around me are familiar places.
Oh God, I can see that still just kind of. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh,
What a
little Neil Young.
world.
Hey, old man, look at my life. I'm a lot like you were. Okay, so Sean, you're getting your plan together. We've got a good one. I think that we got through the meeting. We're putting the plan into motion. Everything's going. The next time we do it, it's going to be action. Does that work for everybody?
Sounds good.
All right, so I'll stop recording here in just a moment. Then we'll bullshit for 5 or so. Then we'll get the hell off here and do what we got to do. Once again, thanks everybody. It's getting ready to go down. I think this is pretty decent. I'm hoping this works out for everybody. And until next time, take care. We'll see you.
Bye.